walk down 25 feet, you look up at it, and then you throw it in the trash. Is that right?
I looked at it and then waited for the trash can, of course. I didn't throw it on the floor or anything, so I did have to wait for the trash can to be there.
Sure. So you, in fairness, you probably had 5 seconds to look at this bag. Is that about right?
Yes.
So you
This
had a
is a
5
stupid
second
charge,
glance
and I
through
think he's right
a white baggie and a green baggie,
to argue this
and
on
you
the motion
then
to
based your
dismiss.
conclusion on that. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you also said that you thought this was about 4 to 5 sugar packets.
Correct.
Okay. Well, do you recall previously stating that you didn't know what the weight was?
Correct.
She's not saying the weight. I thought she was saying the size and
And do
volume.
you recall indicating that it could be a couple of pounds?
Ma'am?
Okay.
No.
Well, do you
Ma'am?
recall being...
Counsel? If somebody said they were handed a couple pounds of cocaine in the hallway of the hotel, I'm really going to need more information. Like, I'm very much going to need more information if what you are saying is it was a couple pounds. I really need you to clarify. I really need you to clarify for me, like, what is happening.
Yes, question.
Yeah, I've
So
got
you
a lot
have no
of
experience
questions.
with weight, and you testify, well, I don't know what it weighed. I mean, it could be an 8-ball, but I don't even know what an 8-ball weighs. So, I mean, that's like asking me how much this weighs. I don't know. It's a couple of pounds.
No, she's talking
You wanna
about the
see this?
8-ball being a couple
No,
of
I
pounds.
don't need to see it. What I was referring to was a body armor that I had already opened and taken a couple of drinks of, and I held it up and said, I don't know what this weighs. Maybe a pound or
Oh,
two.
a drink.
That was in reference to the body armor, not to the baggies.
Okay, well, in reality,
Well done,
in a
ma'am.
5-second glance,
Yeah, that was a good.
Counsel, don't try to intentionally confuse the situation by cutting out context. What she's saying is, wait, schmate. I don't know how much this much weighs. I don't know how much this much weighs. I don't know. She's like, I don't know how far the distance is. I don't know how much it weighs. I just don't know. Guess what? Same. Same. Counsel, same.
agree with me, you have no idea what the weight was.
Correct.
Correct.
And you really, other than your guess, you have no idea for certain what was in that bag.
Correct.
And that's it. Leave it be.
May
You
I
have
just have one
you have
more?
nothing further. You have no idea what was in that bag. Correct. It's speculation. That's not sufficient evidence. This should get yeeted. I'll be real annoyed if it doesn't. This should get yeeted. There's no evidence. There's no evidence that this was evidence. There's no evidence that this is
And last question.
illicit
Do you
narcotics.
recall in those text messages between you and Ms. Gutierrez-Reed, she at one point asked you back for her things? Plural?
Yes.
Okay. And so things
It's different than
is
stuff.
more than one, right?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Did she give you other things? Did she give you other things? It's the only question needed. Did she give you other
Ms.
things?
Smith, have you ever seen powdered sugar packaged like that?
No.
Have you ever seen regular sugar packaged like that?
Never.
Ma'am, people do
Have you
weird
seen
shit.
cocaine packaged like that?
Yes.
You were asked some questions about your contact with Ms. Gutierrez inside the room. Did you, when you were in there, in Ms. Gutierrez's room visiting with her, did you speak with her?
Yes.
Did she mention to you that she was extremely worried about Ms. Hutchins and Ms. Hutchins' death?
No, ma'am.
What specifically did she say to you when you were in her room with
Why wasn't
regards
this on
to the
direct?
concerns that she had?
She was concerned about her career. She was concerned about being prosecuted because somebody got shot.
All right,
Yeah,
nothing further. Thank you, ma'am.
May I ask one more question?
he's asking for a Sir Cross.
Can we approach?
The prosecutor is not thrilled about that request. It's not it can happen. It just has to. I don't think the prosecutor should be getting feisty because she leaves half of her questions for redirect. And yes, if the defense has a question or two to ask, the court should allow it. It just has to be relevant. And it has to be direct to the
And you were
redirect.
the one that told Miss Gutierrez Reed that night that Melina had passed, correct?
Yes.
How did she react?
Further go.
All right, thank you, you're excused.
That's it?
Next witness?
Who's the next witness?
Yes. Let me look at the list. Give me just 1 second.
You need to look at the list, ma'am.
Caitlin Paul Seth Kenny.
Y'all,
This is the moment we've been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for your patience as we finally get to Seth Kinney, the PDQ arm and prop guy.
I also think that they have not proved that the tampering with evidence charge. If we get to the end of the prosecution's case, they should argue it. I would be surprised if the court didn't heed it. But with this court, who knows? Let's get to Seth Kinney. I'm going to zoom. Sir, we got a lot of fucking questions for you. We sure do.
Rise.
Miguelina, let's let the app crew know. First of all, I've never had to be an in-court reporter. It is very difficult. Sitting in court, not being able to make faces makes me want to die. But I love the stands that they all have for their laptops. I'm going to need one of them. And I love that when they said all rise, they just pulled their laptops up with them. I love the media pool that's in this courtroom right now. It's great. It's great. So let's let the app crew know that this is what we're doing. We're going to zoom until he is on the stand and the jury's in the room. Why are we going to break? What are we doing? Y'all, the way I'm stressed out right now because I don't know what happens on this feed. Why are we going to break? All right, I'm going to try to zoom. I don't know why they brought Seth Kinney into the courtroom and then took a break, but that's exactly what happened. So we're zooming right past it. I don't know what that was all about.
Stand before the judge.
Sure about something.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth,
Let's
and nothing but the
go.
truth?
Yes.
All right, have a seat, talk into the microphone.
The rabbit of Cabernog said it felt like
Good morning, sir. State your full name for the
drama
record.
Good
cliffhanger.
morning, Seth Andrew Kenny.
Yes, it does.
Mr. Kenny,
Let's go, sir. Let's go.
where to begin? In October of 2021,
Where to begin? Sir, did we offer you a deal to testify here today?
what kind of business did you run?
I ran a prop and weapons supply house to the film and entertainment industry. Could be anything from theater, and also volunteer work associated with active shooter training.
Okay. Wait, would you move that microphone a little closer
Sure.
to you there?
Yep.
If you can. All right. And do you still have that business?
Thank you, Paige, for the office
How did you
reference.
get into the prop supply business?
And why are your
I
arrows
got
next?
contacted in about 2009. Had previously been consulting for a firearms business, indoor shooting range, and retail segment.
Sir, Ian
as well
Runkle's
as law
got some
enforcement
questions for you,
training.
too.
So there was a crossover.
There's some lawsuits
and from
we would
that,
like to talk to you about.
I met an individual that was working in the film industry. And at some point, he said he needed some help, and it was just going to be a 2-month thing. Turned into 15 years.
Okay. And that
I need
individual,
to
what kind of work did that individual do?
like cinema.
He did a similar thing where he set up weapons, sent them out onto shows, and also worked as an armor on set.
Okay.
All right, we got like 2 hours till lunch. Let's go, court.
So how long have you owned PDQ props?
It's been about 12 years, maybe 13.
Okay. And at some point, sir, did you meet a gentleman by the name of Thel Reed?
I did very briefly. Oh, I was aware of Thale Reed because we were on opposite ends. He was working set on Django Unchained, and I was behind the scenes working with the prop master, preparing the weapons that were going to be used by Cass. So I was aware of him then, and then very briefly one day, a prop master brought him into the LA Prop House Arsenal, where I did actually meet him. It wasn't again until about 2018 where we became friends.
Okay. So when the two of you became friends, what did Thel do for a living, and how did it relate to what you did?
Well, primarily, he's more than anything, he's a gun coach, and he does work set as an armor as well. But
What do you mean by
something
gun
that he's
coach?
unrivaled in is as being a gun coach.
Oh,
As an armor, he does a fantastic job, or he did back in the day.
or he did back in the
So-
day. He and Thel have worked multiple movies together where Thel's the armorer and then he'll get the arms, ammo, or whatever from Seth Kinney. It's a very symbiotic relationship between the prop houses and the armorers, it seems.
He would work set, and on the back end, I would prepare the weapons for the most part.
This should be
I
the
worked
state's last
set
witness. I don't know what else they're
little
gonna
as
do.
possible.
Okay, when you say work set, what do you mean?
Actually, ending up on a call sheet, being hired by a film production. It could be episodics. It could be any TV show that you might see. Walking Dead, for instance, and then, or it could just be a feature film, like Django Unchained. And so when you are hired by production,
This is stuff he's comfortable talking
you
about.
end
Wait
up
till it gets
being
uncomfortable,
an employee or an independent consultant for that production.
depending on where
Okay.
what's the-
So working on set was not your thing?
Definitely not my focus.
Okay. And at some point in time, did you and Mr. Reed work on a film together where Mr. Reed was an armorer or a coach and you were the vendor, the supplier?
That was, it was 1883. It wasn't a feature film. It was more of a, one-run episodic. And I had been working with Taylor Sheridan's prop master.
And who's Taylor Sheridan?
Taylor Sheridan is a writer, director of the Paramount production. And he's kind of created his own segment of Americana that's very popular.
Are you talking about Yellowstone and 1883?
Yeah.
Yellowstone 1883,
Sir, we're-
Yellowstone 1923, Mayor of Kingstown, Sicario. He wrote Sicario. Both.
Can we stop talking about TV and get to the
Wind
get to the
River,
point?
amazing movie.
Okay.
Great.
That was actually the first time that I had been a provider consultant for Taylor Sheridan. Was on Wind River.
Okay. Let's jump back to 1883. Describe for the jury, please, how you and Mr. Reed sort of worked together on that series.
Well, I had to push hard to get him onto the crew.
Oh,
and
Chad, I
hired.
see you.
And so we talked about it, and I'm fairly tight with the prop master. Again, we've been working together since Wind River. And I convinced him to hire Thale, and to keep him on longer than
Oh, it's you.
most gun coaches or older persons would be allowed on set. Frankly, the Texas heat was just too much for him.
For Thel.
So
And just so that everyone knows,
Did you catch that? I convinced them to hire him. I convinced them to keep him on longer than older folks would generally be on set because of the Texas heat. He's also the one responsible for Hannah getting hired, by the way. So I'm not surprised that he's like, no, I'm the one pulling these strings. Interesting. Very interesting.
is approximately how old is Mr. Reed now?
exactly, I don't know, but he's got to be pushing 80.
Okay. So in what capacity was Mr. Reed hired on the set of 1883? Was he a coach or an armorer?
Primarily, he was the gun coach.
Why?
And he had difficulty with the Texas heat, so I was constantly making sure that he was in an air-conditioned environment, and that's not something that a set on Texas allows for.
Sure.
And
So
can we
describe
zoom?
for the jury the kind of gun coaching that was being done on 1883.
Objection relevance.
Well,
Objection relevance. Here's what she's going to argue to it being relevant, that this is how the ammo got mixed. Because the ammo they're suspecting came from Thel and they were doing live shooting on 1883.
It involved
That's why we're
initially,
here.
it was pretty casual and we were using replicas and it
This is why
happened
we're
to
here.
be Taylor Sheridan's private
Somebody needs
arena.
a Taylor
When you
Sheridan.
say replicas, are you talking about real guns or fake guns?
These are fake guns,
Okay.
replicas, yeah. And so that's where it started. It's kind
The other gun expert said the replicas were the real working guns that were made to look like older guns. He is using replica to talk about completely fake guns. It's the use of the word replica in this trial has meant like 4 different things. It's not clear.
of a meet and greet and just get some of the basics down. And Thale, he's been doing it for so many decades, 60 plus years as a gun coach in armor. He knows small bite-sized pieces to the actors is best.
Okay.
So
Was there a coaching session that included real firearms?
there were, then at some point, it was decided, and I'm not sure who made the decision, that they actually wanted to set up a private range on a portion of Taylor Sheridan's private ranch with an appropriate backstop and it controls. And that is where the cast, it was a bit of a team building as well, learned about how the functioning of the firearms, and we were mixed between blanks and live. We had live ammunition in one area and then take people off to the side and shoot blanks. And essentially the safe distance on most blanks is about 20 feet. So we would take them away from the firing line and test and train them there. And primarily, they had gotten it by that point. They had really understood for their characters what they needed to be and do on set.
So you mentioned that during these coaching sessions, some of the cast was shooting with live ammunition. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And do you recall what kind of caliber weapons the cast was using to shoot that live ammunition from?
It was a mix we had available from memory, 12 gauge birdshot, just the basics of that. I don't think we even touched that ammo. The prop master had some guns that were chambered in .357, I believe, some lever actions, and also in .45 Colt or .45 Long Colt. Both are okay.
And 45 long Colt is the rounded issue
Can
here.
you explain to the jury, well, let me ask you this. Do you know where the live ammunition came from that was used in those coaching sessions?
I do.
Well, where did it come from?
The .45 Long Colt came from Thale. He had a number of reloads that I asked him to bring because at that time it was very difficult to source live ammunition. It was difficult. So he had what turned out to be 325 reloads of .45 Long Colt.
When you say
Reloads being
reload,
the way
what are
they.
you talking about?
Well,
Thank you for following up, Carrie.
It's once used case, so every case of ammunition starts out as new. And at that point,
Wait, so what do you mean when you say case?
the actual brass case, so if we talk about a round of ammunition, there are 4 components to that. There's the yellowish colored brass case, the primer that is pressed into the base of the case. Then we have gunpowder, some type of, could be black powder, synthetic black powder, modern smokeless powder, and then you need a projectile. And so those four components make up a single round of ammunition.
Okay, so the
Hey.
live
Good.